Let's share screen 3. Okay. Do you see the screen which says Wednesday the 3rd of February?
We do.
Great. So welcome. Normal things about etiquette. We're all nice to each other, aren't we? So there we are. This is Wednesday the 3rd of February 2021, and this is our 4th. Is it our 4th?
4th, yeah.
That's right. If you're in ALL, please write it in the chat. I am in ALL. We always publish all of this chat afterwards, so it's really nice to flood the site with people saying, I'm in ALL, please join, it's really good. So here we are again, here are our hosts. So tonight we have with us Julia, I'm here, Joe's here, Adeline's here, and Esther's here. And I don't think that Jerome and Esmeralda and Jane could come tonight, am I right? But if ever they appear, please just, you know, between us anyway, we're happy to do training, and there'll be some of you I know joining us. So Annalise, Adam, I'm looking forward to you joining us too. So here we are. That's our purpose, is that it's just that we really can be quite casual about this, go through things. If at any point there's anything you don't understand, if you want us to go through it again, we can. Whereas with a webinar, it tends to be like, these are the things that you can do, which is what we've got here. Here are 3 webinars where you go there and you've got an hour's worth each time of taking you through everything. But this is really to be, you know, talking a little bit of a calmer way. Jerome, thank you so much to Jerome, who's collecting examples from some of the people here as to how they use OneNote. So I'd urge you to go and look at those. There we are. And if you're not a member of Facebook group, please do join. Over 5,000 people there who are there helping each other. And of course, as if you need to be told about this, Joe Dale's wonderful MF Twitterato. That tends to be the way that we communicate. So yeah, we've got that etiquette. And the workshop here is really that, you know, we're going to be listening to whatever it is that Julia's doing, talk about that, and then if at the end you've got any absolute emergency, then, you know, I'm very happy just to stay on, and others are as well, to help you out. But we'll just sort of, if you don't mind, we're going to do one issue at a time. So yes, that's just to do with the fact we'll pause. Yes, so thank you in anticipation. Everybody's understood it, so that's been fine. So if we don't know your name yet, please could you rename yourselves? It is all being recorded, so you'll be able to see this afterwards. Due to run for about an hour. I don't need to apologize, you need to leave, and we suggest that you can keep it, it's fine to keep your webcam on, but we'd rather you didn't have your mic on while it's happening, just so it doesn't disturb. And then at the end as well, you can put everything on, so that's fine. Everything's being kept on the ALL London site. There are links there, and we've got loads coming up, because in fact we've got so much we want to fit in. So we have already planned that we're going to have one next Monday, and yes, we know it's half term, but we're planning 2 more there, because actually that's the time when we're not going anywhere. No one's going on skiing holidays or doing anything, and this is a bit of our hobby anyway. So we'll still have the sessions, and totally understand if people can't come, we'll record them so they'll be there for you.
You're running Microsoft Holiday Camp.
That's right. I like, let's call it that, Microsoft Holiday Camp. That's right. And we're your animateur and animatrice. So other things coming up, we've got First Fridays on Friday for anyone who's starting out teaching. If you know anyone who's starting out teaching, do tell them. Nick Mayer is coming along to talk about getting a job. And then this, I've only just 5-10 minutes ago made this live, that we're having another webinar about the speaking endorsement, just to get together and be clear about what actually it is we have to do, but also what we don't have to do. Just, you know, be sensible about it. And then we've got more coming up. Thursday, the 11th of February, we've got Sonia. Is that right, Joe? Because I noticed there was somebody on Twitter saying, see you tomorrow, and people said,
no, that was hilarious, because it was ballet from Cardiff.
Yeah.
Or not Cardiff, from outside, from anyway, she's outside Cardiff.
She's from a pan that it's like,
that's right.
like a small town.
I did a session there, but yeah, I went to Cardiff, and then I had to get a bus from there. Anyway, so she said, really looking forward to the session tomorrow. And then I wrote back, so well, you might be looking forward to it, but unfortunately you've got another 8 days to wait. And then we had lots of animated GIFs that were going back and forth. It was hilarious.
Yeah, because it was hilarious, because I think it's like I did few webinars on Head of School as well, and we're meeting from previously, with Ballet. And the funny thing is, like, she was texting me this morning, it's like, don't forget tomorrow's webinar. It's like, no, it's next week. It's like, no, it's tomorrow. And suddenly I change on my schedule and I put a note on my calendar, like, don't forget tomorrow. And I put an alarm. And thanks to you, after that, I realized, like, no, I was right. I wrote, for once, I wrote in a good way. It was hilarious. All the GIFs and everything was like.
That was really good.
And I was making a mistake there as well, because I was saying on Thursday, that is the next week, isn't it? Yeah, and then we've got Jimena as well, who's at the end of half term. So quite a lot going on there.
And also, Helen, shall I mention the world exclusive about the 6th of March with the person I mentioned? So on the 6th of March, I've been literally trying for months and months and months, but finally I've been able to persuade Gloria Enrique, who is the equivalent of Jane Bassnett and Esmeralda and everyone else, Julia and all the other luminaries in Microsoft in Ireland. And she's a Spanish native speaker, and she's amazing. She's the person who did the YouTube clip on inserting audio into Microsoft Form and what have you. And anyway, she's finally agreed. I finally worn her down, and on the 6th of March from 3:30 to 4:30, she's going to do an hour with us on Microsoft Teams, trying to, or Microsoft Tools. She's going to try and show us some things we haven't seen before. She said, but it's all been done already. It's all been done. But anyway, she's going to try and show us some interesting things. So I'm really looking forward to it.
You can't have enough of Microsoft Tools. So
she'll be a great person to ask those really difficult questions of. So you have to store up all your really difficult questions and then ask her. And if we haven't covered it already, I'm sure she'll know the answer. But no, I was really, in all seriousness, I was really delighted that she said yes finally. And there's a few other people as well who I've got penciled in, but that one I can officially announce now as it's in my diary. And she's
Joe loves announcing these things. What you normally like saying, I can't tell you yet. But
well, there's a few international people I'm trying to persuade as well, but more of that later. But yeah, there we are. So that's my bit.
Thank you. Thanks so much for all you're doing.
No
so
worries.
Here we are. Here's our planning sheet where we got a bit behind, but it didn't matter last time. So this is what we're planning to do today. We did a lot, in the end, we did all troubleshooting last time. This time we're going to be talking about adding links to your notebook. The particular idea being they're showing different ways, but also bearing in mind really the future as well. How big do you want the things? Well, no, I'll let you talk about that, Julia, shall I? Because I know you're going to talk about that. And then the idea is that next, and then Adeline is going to talk about using collaboration space, but she's also going to talk a bit about how she collaborates with the department. Then next Monday, we're going to do, Esther going to do breakout rooms, Jeremy is going to do Immersive Reader, and Adeline and Jane are going to talk about managing collaboration with colleagues. And then when we come into half term, that's where we're going to have our PowerPoint Fest on that Monday. I don't know why we call it a PowerPoint Fest, but it sounds good, doesn't it?
PowerPoint party.
Yes, PowerPoint party, yes.
All the P's. Yeah.
And then probably on the Thursday, it'll be Esmeralda and others talking about criteria, self-assessment and all that sort of thing. So that's what you've got coming. So over to Julia, who I hope is also going to tell us about how we can get her brownie points or whatever they are, Microsoft points, please.
Well, yeah. Yes, so thank you very much. If you put in the code for me last time for Microsoft, I actually don't need any more brownie points now, really. Thank you. Because I've got to 100 now, so yay, I got my badge. Thank you, everyone. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, I still show you in my presentation because, wait, let me quickly share, and that will make more sense.
Oh, Jane's here. Hi, Jane.
Not this. Here we go. Okay, so what we're talking about is the Microsoft Education website. So if you've never been on this website, I strongly recommend checking it out. So this is the official Microsoft page, and they have lots and lots of different videos. They have these learning paths, which a learning path will always consist of kind of several lessons, which will be like videos, which always end with a little quiz. And then if you pass the quiz, and you can do it as many times as you want, so you will definitely pass it, you get points. And then when you get, I think, 1,000 points, then you can call yourself a Microsoft Innovative Educator, which you can then put on your Twitter handle and on your school email. And then after that, you can kind of, there are different levels. So you can then become a Microsoft expert and a Microsoft trainer and work your way up until you own Microsoft, basically. Yes, so check out our website. Okay, so today I'm going to talk lots on content. And I think before I give you examples of the different things or go through the different things in detail, I thought I'd just share this lesson quickly, which I actually just prepared before this presentation, which you can see from the date is my lesson tomorrow, but it's actually quite a good example for how many different things you can have in one lesson. So I've added an extra PowerPoint, which actually is not part of the lesson. This is just for the example. So I quickly show you what you can do, and then I go through it, how to do it. So here at the top, I've got an embedded PowerPoint, which means the students can go through the different slides at their own pace and also kind of see the animation, so they can see this blue dot appearing there. So they're in control of it, which is quite nice. Then I've got some typing here for the name. I've got a screenshot from some textbook here, including the questions. I've got a link to Textivate, or I maybe not show all the answers here. I've got a link to a sound file. I've got an embedded Microsoft form, which for the students will be showing. I've got a printed out PowerPoint as well. So for this form, it's like a quiz about music. So they have to listen to the sound file. They answer the question on the Microsoft form to guess which song goes with which artist here. And next to it, I have got a screenshot from Textivate as well, which gives them some vocab they need for the scribing language. And then I've got a link to another Shard website and some text that they can use to make a presentation about a band. So it will probably take them longer than a lesson, knowing them, but I always have too much on my things. But I think it gives you quite a good idea of all the different things you can have in one page. Okay, so one thing you need to be aware of are the frames of where you're writing. So I talked about this a little bit last time, but for those who weren't here, I just explain this again. So if you see, if I hover over this PowerPoint, you can see it has like this gray bar at the top there, and it kind of has really faint gray lines at the side. So this is my text box. And within that text box, at the moment, I've got two things, namely I've got the link to the PowerPoint here, and I've got the embedded PowerPoint. And I can now change the position of it and the size. So if I grab it up there by that gray handle and I move it over there, you see that the link and the PowerPoint, they're both in the same box, so they move together. While all the other stuff, all the other stuff is in separate boxes, so they're not moving with it. And it also means that if I change the size of that, so I could change the size of this text box to put more things at the side, for example. But if I zoom in a bit more, you can see, here we go. So this element itself has a dotted box around it. So just be aware of the difference. So the dotted box is just for this one object, and it has these white boxes at the side, so you can make it smaller and bigger as well. And I could move this around within the text box. So I could move it around to the left and right. But if I move it too much, so I can kind of drag it out of the text box. And now it's, well, it's still in the text box. Kind of have to pop it out. It's a bit like popping a bubble, I find, because if you just keep on dragging it, then normally it just comes out of the text box. And now, yeah, so you can see hopefully that the link is still in that giant text box, but my PowerPoint is now an object on its own. So I can move them independently from each other. So, and why this is important is really best to have everything in the same text box, because it then means if you move the text box, everything will move. While now, because it's separate text boxes, I kind of have the problem that if I move this around, then it might cover up other things. So this wouldn't be so good. I could cover this up. Yeah.
Can I just,
So
is there any reason why you would not want to have it all in the same text box? I mean,
well, only if you want to have kind of the formatting. So for example, because I wanted this to be, well, it's a bit more flexible. So if I have this in a separate text box, it means I can have it over there. Also, it's good if you want to do a matchup task. So for example, I've got a task where the students have to match up the titles to the paragraph. So there, obviously, I want them to move it around. So that's quite handy. It's sometimes hard to get stuff back into the text box, because now if I move this back here, it doesn't automatically go back into the text box. So what I need to do is copy my PowerPoint thing, then I could just delete it and put it in here. Yeah, so I've copied and pasted it back into the text box basically. So you can't drag it back into it, you have to copy and paste it into it. Okay. And yeah, I mean, it would be better if these were in this text box as well, but I was just a bit too lazy to do that, to be honest. I just kept it all on the page basically. But now really it's better, because now if I move it, everything will move together.
I think just to say, the reason that I sometimes do have a different one is if, for example, I'm giving someone a task to do and I want to give them reference on the same page.
Yeah.
But I don't want that reference to take up all the space. So for example, it'll be write about your daily routine, and the substitution table or sentence builder is deliberately in a separate frame so that they can move it around as they go down, or they can get rid of it if they want to. So
yeah, that's good. If you have the vocab list, they can take it along basically as they go down the page. Yeah, that's good. Also, if you want to have two objects next to each other, it's harder to do that in a text box, because it will put them underneath each other automatically, while if they're in separate text boxes, you can move around. And here's a special tip that you might not know. Namely, if you want to be even more flexible, let's see if I can demonstrate this here. So these text boxes kind of often, no, not the text boxes, the objects that you move around, like pictures and so on, they often kind of snap to a grid. And to avoid that, you can press Alt, and then it gives you more flexibility. I mean, here, this one seems to be quite flexible anyway. Let's see if I can do it with this one. Yeah, so you see it's kind of stuck in a straight line. So just go sideways. While if I press Alt and I take it out, then it just lets me put it in more places basically. So for fine tuning, always click Alt, but I can't quite show it now because it's all stuck in there. Okay. Okay, but let's move on maybe. So the most common thing, I guess, that people would want to do is to put worksheets onto your OneNote page. And we did talk about this last time, but I think it might be quite good to have a little recap. So there are different ways of putting a worksheet onto OneNote, and you can either print the worksheet straight in. So if I want to print it, I go to Insert, and don't go to Printout, but go to File, because then it allows you to use any type of file that you have. Yeah, let's go with this. So this is a worksheet from Caboodle. Let's just use that. And it's now asking me, do you want to insert a link to it, insert as an attachment, or print out? If you just upload a link to it, it has the big advantage that it won't take up much storage space on your iPad, which is important if you have a lot of classes and a lot of students in there. If you print it for all of them, then it will just be using up a lot of data on your computer. And especially if you have it on an iPad or whatever, it will just be really big. So it is sometimes better to have it as a link, but that means that the students need to have Word on their device, or they need to use the web version of Word to then see it. So I could do that, or I can insert it as a printout, which it doesn't want to do. Okay, let's try that again. Which it turns it automatically into a PDF file. Let's see if we've got everything good in here. Here we go. That's not the worksheet. Let's hope this one works. No, it doesn't want to do it. Okay, well, I've got it. Might have one somewhere. well, this one is a printed PowerPoint, so I can show this. So the same principle. So in this case, it's the PowerPoint for this presentation, which I've just printed in here. And you can see it's just printed all the slides one under the other, which is great because then the students could annotate it and so on. But it is very picture heavy. And it also means if you've got a whole PowerPoint, you will have to scroll through the whole lot to get to the bit which the students have maybe written on. So it might be good to just give them the one slide they actually have to write on. And the nice thing is, if you've got several slides, if you just want to take the middle one out, you can just click any slide and just click delete, and it's taken that one out and moved all the other ones up, which I think is very useful, that you don't have to kind of fiddle around and move them all up to close that gap. It does it automatically, which is quite nice. So that's one way. You can also, if you're already in PowerPoint, so let's say I've just prepared this PowerPoint here, I can also go to File and Print and use basically my printer, but instead of using my actual printer, I'm using OneNote for Windows 10. And then it will load a little bit, and it will then, if I wait over here in OneNote, it will ask me where I want to print it to. Okay, this one is a bit big, so it's taking a little bit. Here we go. So now it's asking me, do you want it on the same page where you are, or in the same section where you are, or somewhere completely different? So let's put it in the same section here. Boop. And now it's printing it. So it's just doing the same that I've already got, but it's just for the example.
Could I interrupt a minute
Yeah.
there, Julia? Because it's probably my fault that I just was looking down at that point. That at some point, I have selected where I wanted to print to. Now it keeps on printing always to the same place. And I'd forgotten how I did that bit. Could you show again how you select which bit of the notebook you wanted to go to?
Yeah, so as soon as you click print here,
Yeah.
you need to do maybe let's do the example one, which isn't quite so long.
Apologies if this is repeating because I know you've just done it.
That's okay. So you send it. Oh no, now I'm connecting to the actual printer. As soon as you click print, it will then start flashing. So your icon at the bottom starts flashing, and then you get the window where you get the different options. So let's see if we can do this again here. Print. So I don't want it to the printer, but to OneNote 10. There you go. And the top option is always the page you're already on. So maybe I do this time, because it's actually quite cool how it puts it underneath everything else that's already on the page. So it's quite nice and easy to kind of integrate things, because you can just print something from Word, then you print something from PowerPoint, then you put a little bit of text underneath, and it's all in a nice long line, and there's no limit to your page. You could then have them next to each other underneath, or whichever direction you want. Okay, so now you can see down here, it's flashing and it's showing, do you want it on the current page, in the current section, and so on. So I put it on the current page. Here we go. And on this page called printout, it's already got a PowerPoint, but it's put the new one somewhere underneath it. Where is it gone? Long presentation. Yeah, so here is now my second PowerPoint, and it has automatically put it into a new text box here, as you can see. So I've ended up with 2 text boxes, but in this case, it doesn't matter too much. Okay, another one is if you are using a worksheet, it is also worth just copying and pasting it over. So especially if it's something that you want the students to be able to write into it. So for example, if it has a table, then it's quite useful just literally just copy and paste so that the table will expand when they write into it. While if you print it, then, well, it's like a printout, so there's no way of changing it. So maybe if I do this one here, so my music quiz, let's say I didn't have this on my form, I could just, a good shortcut to know is Control A. If you know this one, select everything, and then Control C, and then I just go over here. Let's say I make a new page, and I just Control V, I paste it all in, and it's just pasted that whole slide, and no, the whole worksheet in. But the good thing is the students could now manipulate the text. They can write in there if they want to, and it will expand for them. Or they can write their answers and so on. So that's the advantage here. And with tables, they often get a bit squished. So the trick is to make the text box a bit bigger, and then they normally expand to a good size. But you can also expand them manually here by sorting this out a little bit.
Yeah, because I did find that if you put, because I prepare all of my things in a Word document always, everything's in Word first and then copied and pasted, but it doesn't take the formatting for the tables. So I just have to change that always.
Yeah, I mean, you can do some table formatting within OneNote, like you can change the colors. So if you highlight the table, it will come up with a new tab here called table. So you can do some things like colors and deleting rows, not quite as much as you can do in Word, but you can change it a little bit. So that's quite good. Okay, shall I go on to what you can embed, or are there questions about kind of worksheets or Word documents?
I think just to say one thing that we will look at afterwards, and Sabine was saying that she didn't get that option, and I don't get that option that you showed about printing to OneNote, but I know it can be done. So I think if we look at that later on together to see why it is, because I know I've done it because I do.
Yeah.
You know, but I
normally
just
in your list of printers, it should just at the bottom say more printers.
Oh, the printer is there. Oh, but perhaps you haven't got the printer, because I've got the printer OneNote, but I don't then get that flashing bit which says where do you want it to go. And I know that I definitely have done it because it knew where to go.
Well, yeah, in the list of printers, you normally get print to OneNote and print to OneNote Windows 10. So maybe make sure that's the one that says Windows 10 on it, because I think otherwise it's trying to print to the old version of OneNote.
Well, my personal thing is that I know, oh, I see. Oh, Sabine's got a different issue from mine. Because mine is, it's going to the right place and it does end up there, but it goes into a section that I haven't selected. So, but I know that I did originally, but that's I'll look into that again.
Okay, not quite sure.
So Helen, what does Helen say? Why do I often get the won't insert like Julia just had?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. What does sometimes help, so if you're copying and pasting, for example, a picture or a text from somewhere, what I find helps is inserting it into Word and then copying it again from Word into PowerPoint, which into OneNote, which is a bit weird. I don't know exactly why, to be honest. Yeah, or like earlier, I couldn't insert the printout. It might have helped if I opened the file properly in Word and then printed it from Word, and I might have done it. So sometimes just kind of trying different methods, or going the step and pasting it in somewhere else and then copying it from there, and then it often works weirdly.
And
sorry.
Can I just say there are some questions. I know that we're coming up to how to embed PowerPoint. So, but if still on the issues that you've been showing, Stephen, you've mentioned, is this something that you know about that you want to tell us about, or you've put, has anyone got experience merging cells, alignment changes by using an add-in like OneNote Gem? Because I
haven't used it in OneNote. I normally just would do that in Word and then copy it over, because it kind of saves.
Which is what I've done, and it works. So you can merge cells and it carries across the formatting into Word. But Stephen, I don't know if you want to elaborate, or if it's something you want to tell us about, just if you write in the chat if you did want to. And I think other than that, I mean, you can open up your mic if you think there's anything that you've wanted to ask.
Can I just ask about, do you use the OneNote Web Clipper at all?
Yeah, that's very good as well. I could put that on my list.
Does it work? Does it work in a similar way? Can you just like copy and paste something and then put it straight into OneNote? Is that how it works?
Yeah, so the Web Clipper is if you want to put whole websites in it. So if I go, let's go to BBC News or something. The Web Clipper is a Chrome add-on, but I'm actually using Microsoft Edge, which can also have Chrome extensions to it. So I've got it in my Edge here, and it's just that purple box. So if I see, let's say I wanted this beautiful picture of Boris Johnson in my OneNote, then I can just select here, and I get different options. So I can either just select a region, so it's literally just making a screenshot here,
Right.
and then again it will ask me where I want to put it. So here I would
Right.
put it in my, well, let's put it in my personal one, and it would create a new page with that picture in it. And it has the link from where it is as well, which is quite handy, I guess. Or you can print the whole page. So here I've got the whole BBC page. Or just, yeah, if you're in a certain article, then you can just do that one.
Very
So
nice.
can you go back to the beginning and say, how do you get that little mauve thing in your?
Well,
up
you
there?
need,
What's that?
for that, you need to go to the Chrome extension shop.
Web
basically.
store, the Chrome Web Store.
Yeah, the Chrome Web Store, and download it there.
Download. What is it? What is it called?
It's called Onenote Web Clipper. Let's have a look. Where Onenote Web Clipper. I think if you Google it, then here we go. It will tell you the different steps.
There we are.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really handy. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's a nice, easy way of getting screenshots.
Very good. Yeah.
With the link from where they came from.
And
Yeah.
by the way, going back to inserting Word, Jane has just mentioned that you can just drag and drop a document to get documents in.
Yes. Will it then print them, or will it create a link to them? I think someone told me this before and I forgot about that. That's quite a good trick. Shall I try it out? Let's see.
Can I say you can print it? You can select to just attach it, put it in as an attachment, or
okay, so
right,
it does the same. Yeah, so it does the same as insert file basically. And that's quite useful, yeah. So if you already have your browser here open, your document browser, I guess you can just do that. Yeah, that's quite cool as well.
We're learning loads here. It's great.
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you, Adeline, for helping out on that.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that when you used your web clipper, you got a drop down, didn't you, as to where you wanted it to go?
Yes, it then asks you which section you wanted in and which page and so on. I think it always automatically creates a new page, but you can choose which section you want it in.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if you want to combine it with other material, you just have to copy it over, I guess. Yeah. Okay, shall I talk about embedding now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what I mean by embedding is that it will appear as a preview. So for example, this PowerPoint video, actually here's my actual presentation. So here are all different things that I've embedded. So it is not a printout, but it's kind of a live copy of it. So for example, with this Word document, it means that I can actually scroll through it, or the students can scroll through it. I've already showed a PowerPoint. You can have you can have a YouTube video, and they can actually play it while they're in OneNote, which is great because it means they can take notes next to it. So anything they learn from this video, they could write straight there while they're watching the video. So from your first lesson, sign up. Yeah, so it's great. They can create a a vocab list, or the other way around, you can give them a vocab list to understand what's going on in the video, so, or questions about the video and so on. So that's really, I just thought that great.
Also, you showed us earlier that you can make that bigger or smaller, can you?
Yes, so if
because
you
that's a stupid thing I've not realized. I've always thought, oh, how can they see the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Tiny little...
So that's the thing again. So you see the YouTube video has this gray bar at the top, so that's the one you need to click.
Yeah.
And then you get the white things to make it bigger, smaller.
That's brilliant. Yeah. That's going to make such a difference to showing PowerPoints.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can have the YouTube, and here's an example. So here's my Genially game as well. So if you're using Genially, you can also also embed it, and then can play it straight in there. And the same thing, you can make it bigger and so on. So which is useful if you want to have several things next to each other. So this is what I mean by embedding, is that it has a live copy there, but you can't use an embed code. So even if you have an iframe code for something, it won't it won't embed, because there are only certain websites which OneNote allows to be embedded, basically. And I had a list. Let's go back to it. Here we go. So I'll show you the list again. So this is the current list. You can find this by just Googling embedding in OneNote, and then you'll find that list. I've highlighted the ones which I thought are probably the most useful ones for language teachers. Maybe I should have highlighted Vimeo. I don't know. I don't use it, but maybe other people do. But yeah, so you might notice Quizlet. It's quite nice. You can have a Quizlet set straight in your page. Then the Office files are like the PowerPoint I showed, where they can change the slides, the forms, so they can fill in the form straight on the page. And last time we already showed a little bit that you can have a stream video. The one, if you've recorded it and uploaded it to your school stream, you can embed that as well. Yeah, and then some other ones like Flipgrid and and Wakelet, you can have in there as well.
And what about text debate? And
no,
is that not going?
No, they don't embed. So anything that's not on here, it will not embed, even if you have like an iframe generator and so on. It will just show the web link, which is fine. They can just click on it and will open in a new window. But you can't have, well, they would need to use split screen and so on to see the questions to go with it. Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to go through it a little bit, how you actually get your Office files to embed, because that is a bit counterintuitive, because you would think that if you use share in your PowerPoint or Word and then paste that link in, it would work, but it doesn't. It only seems to work, as far as I know, but correct me if I'm wrong. You need to be on Office. So you need to log into your Office account, which you should have if you have a school 365 subscription. And in Office, you open your PowerPoint. So it's open it on SharePoint. For me anyway, in my school, I guess it's always on SharePoint. Is SharePoint always linked to this?
I think
Anyone
so. I think that is the. But can I just check? You can open it anywhere, because what I've been doing is going to my OneNote, my OneDrive every time, just because I followed the instruction. It said go to your OneDrive. But you're finding that it's okay if you just open it in SharePoint and take the URL from there.
Yeah, I've taken just from Office and then open it up in there, and then you just don't do share, but instead you just copy the link from up there. But for the students to be able to view it, you need to make sure that it's shared with everyone in your organization, because I think otherwise it will just say you need to log in, and then it will say you don't have access to this file. So you do need to go to share as well, and then change it here. So in my case, people in Millfield School with the link, and I have to make sure that it does not say allow editing, because I don't want them to make changes to it. So now I apply this, which means now it's publicly viewable for everyone in the school. Now I close this, and then I can copy this link, and hopefully now if I chuck this over here, there we go. It's automatically, turned this link into an embedded PowerPoint here, and they can now go through it.
Yeah,
and it's the same with Word and so on.
I mean, it's just something I've heard people use. Joe, you use this word game changer a lot. I always feel it's a young person's phrase to say a game changer, but it really is incredible, this, isn't it? Because it means you're not using up space in your, you know, every time the OneNote loads, it's not loading up all of these pictures of a PowerPoint. It's just there.
Yes, like we explained last time with the whole cloud storage, it means it does not save this as individual pictures, but it just has a link to the cloud that the students can kind of, they have a preview of what's saved in the cloud. And it also means if you're making changes to that PowerPoint, because maybe you find a spelling mistake or whatever, it should then update, as far as I know. So they will always see the newest version of the PowerPoint.
Okay. Now,
Can
can I just say, we've got a question here about,
Yeah.
did you just, what did you put, Rebecca? Did you just put the link there and it worked? So perhaps for the
Yeah.
Doubtful Thomases, can we see that again, please?
Yes, it's magic.
Can I just ask, what is the difference between SharePoint and OneDrive?
That is
SharePoint-
a
oh,
very
sorry.
good question. Yes, no, Helen, you go.
Well, only that SharePoint, as far as I understand, is the absolute, I think someone called it the brain. You did, you called it the brain, Julia, of everything that you have in a school. We have SharePoint and everything is in SharePoint. So if you look at the address for anything that's to do with Microsoft, which is within your school, it'll end up at SharePoint. You always read an address apparently backwards. I've been trained in this. And it's so that SharePoint really just is the place. But what's happened is that depending on the school and the people you have and the way the setup, you'll just have different casing, if you like. So you can be looking at a file that is in SharePoint, and you can be looking at it, if you like, raw in SharePoint, or you can be seeing it within your team, or you can be seeing it within Notebook. So that's really what the SharePoint is, that that is the address, that's the domain.
Right, but compared to say OneDrive, you can still upload the content into either SharePoint or OneDrive. Is that
your
right?
OneDrive is in SharePoint.
Yeah.
That is within
Right.
SharePoint. You have OneDrive.
Right.
Yeah, I would
And
say
then
your OneDrive is your little section of SharePoint, and SharePoint is for the whole school, I think.
Right,
isn't it?
but for say this PowerPoint we're looking at right now, have you uploaded that into OneDrive, or have you uploaded it into?
It's saved in OneDrive.
Right, so you upload it into OneDrive, and then you get the share option
yeah,
from
but
OneDrive, and that's what you're
I don't
pasting
really
into
need
OneNote.
Yes, but I don't need to separately upload it because my OneDrive is already kind of my files on my computer. So anything that I save in my files will automatically be on my OneDrive. Well, this is my personal one, so I've got a personal one.
So if you have, let's say, a PowerPoint you want to embed into your class notebook, you go to OneDrive and you go to the share option in that file, and then you copy and paste the link once you've sorted out the permissions.
No, it doesn't. No, unfortunately, that doesn't work. So if I do that, if I go in here, let's find something. What can I use? This one here. So if I just go in here and go to, oh no, this one isn't. Why is this not even on my OneDrive? Here we go. No, these ones aren't uploaded to the cloud for some reason. But even if I do that, it will not work. Let's go with this one here. This one should share. So no, it still doesn't want to share. No, with the sharing link, it doesn't work, which is weird. So let's just use this one. Sorry, quite confusing here.
And it really doesn't.
So if I copy this link and then go into OneNote, it just shows this, but it doesn't turn it into a presentation. But
am I right that by actually opening it, you're then in a sense opening the page it's on? So you're sharing the page it's on.
Yeah. So you need to go into share to make sure that it's visible for everyone, but you actually need to copy the link from up there, which is a bit of a faff that you have to go into Office every time or into the web version of OneDrive. But then at least now that I've got that link, I can now go into OneDrive, and literally I haven't done anything. The only thing I've clicked was insert, so copy and paste. So I've just pasted it in, and it's done it all automatically. And now it's showing the preview. And then if I want to make it bigger, just need to make sure I click the gray frame at the top there, and then just drag it back a bit. There you go.
That's great.
And now students can go through it at their own pace if they want to.
And we've got a lovely image from Annalise Adams that SharePoint is the mothership from which everything else is. And also, I think really helpfully, that idea of looking at if you look at the address, that's where you work out where it is. And you're right, Annalise, that you have, when it's yours, it will start with my SharePoint. And the children, they all have their own OneDrive. So people have their own OneDrive. Yeah. And then the separate thing is the bit where it's the shared bit. Yes, we'll work with the URL for the teams. Or for anything. It's not even just the team. You don't have to have a Teams, do you? It's and then there are other people. I mean, the setup that we've got at our school is where each individual department has got its own site. And that's been really good about organization. This has been really helpful.
So maybe if I show Quizlet as well, because I guess that's quite popular with us language teachers. I think here we have the same problem as with the PowerPoints, that if you use the share link, it doesn't seem to work, or not always anyway. So if I go in here and copy the link, let's just try both of them. I think what you need is again, the web address from the actual top there. So if I go back into my OneNote, let's go over here. So if I paste the first one, which was this sharing link, nothing happens. But if I use the second one, hopefully, no, nothing happens either. Oh well. That's the demonstration effect.
But it does, it definitely does.
I did write it down, what I have to do. Let me try that again. So yeah, so it should embed it if you're in the flashcards. Let's try this again. So copy. Keep on having the extra window in the way. So let's see if I can get this to work or not. This is still the same link. No. Anyone else know a good trick to do it? Let's go.
I'm just seeing whether I can do it on one just to demo.
It is a bit.
Should I just share my screen where I've just done it, if you like? Or
yeah, mine doesn't want to do it. Yeah, sorry, should I stop sharing?
it probably won't do it now. I've just done it.
Yeah.
I'll show you. So on my screen, there we are. Share there. So can you see my OneNote there? So what I did there was to go for the where's my Quizlet gone then? Now here, Quizlet. There. So I just opened up the bit which was the.
Oh, it's all grey now.
Oh, can't you see it? I'll stop share. I'll do it again. So share screen. Screen 3. There we are. Right, so is that all right? So can you see there?
Yeah, see, mine had a weird code at the end. I think that's why it didn't work.
So if I just got Quizlet.com and then it ends with Pix flashcards, Control-C, and then go into your OneNote. Well, I've already done it there, but let's do it again. So underneath, just Control-V, and it just pops it in. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, well, shall I share again? So good news is YouTube sharing is much easier, because that seems to always work, really. And no matter which link you use, if you use the sharing link or the link from the address bar, it will always embed it automatically.
Except for Sabine, who's just written that it used to work and then it didn't. And the only thing there is that, Sabine, I noticed that on my, you might have noticed there that I demonstrated, and then you didn't actually see the Quizlet because there is something to do with my computer which wasn't speaking to it, but it worked at school.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to show my embarrassing YouTube history with cute kittens. It's all my daughter, I promise. Okay, but it works the same with Genially, as I'm not going to demonstrate this, but just one tip: if you want to embed a Genially presentation, you need to make sure that you use the social link and not the exclusive page link. Otherwise, it will not show it. Okay, so PowerPoint, we've already got links, we've done. Then audio. So for audio, there you can also embed it in the same way. So if you've recorded something on something on a different program, if you upload it to the cloud, you can share the link to it. You can do it on stream, and you can also record straight in OneNote. So if you go to Insert and Audio, and well, it might not work now because I'm on something else. Oh no, it is recording now. So it's a bit weird because it starts recording straight away, and then you stop it, and then you should be able to listen. And okay, so it should have my voice. Well, you can probably not hear it now because I'm not sharing my sound, but so you can record, and this is really useful if you want to give oral feedback to the students. So it saves you a lot of writing if you can just click a little, add a little audio clip there. And especially for pronunciation practice, obviously you can get the students to record a little dialogue, or just get them to record themselves reading out a text, for example, and then you can listen to it and mark it. Okay.
Can I just ask that, Annalise, you asked about, do you use export option? Was that from the PowerPoint, or if you want to open up your mic, Annalise, for what your question was?
That was from the Quizlet, I think. How to share Quizlet in OneNote.
Yeah, no, you don't need to export it.
Right.
You just need to be on the activity in theory anyway.
Okay.
It works. Oh,
And
well.
just to note that Jane was saying that there aren't the same number of options with Quizlet if you embed it. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it then lets you choose between match and test and flashcards, I think.
Mhm.
What I found is when I then clicked on match, it took me to the website. It didn't leave me on the one.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
I think it just embeds the flashcards basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a question about PowerPoint. Sabine says, if your PowerPoint was a narrated one, would the sound come through?
I don't know. I haven't tried that out. Sorry. You try it out and tell us.
I mean, I'm assuming it does, just in the way that, you know, you can embed a sound file, can't you? You can embed.
I don't know. To be honest, I haven't used embedding PowerPoints that much really, because I normally just print the bit.
Actually, think about it, because when we looked at it, you couldn't embed audio, could you? Aren't I right that you actually had to have a link and then it opened up its own player? So I think that is a point.
Yeah, so for audio, will except if you record it straight in OneNote, then obviously you can play it straight in OneNote, but everything else will need to play through their own player.
See, this is where I'm showing my ignorance, because I had thought that once the PowerPoint was a recorded one, it made it into a different format so that it was more like a video format anyway, but perhaps I'm wrong on that.
I mean, you can probably save it then as a video. I mean, there are different formats you can save your PowerPoint in, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe that's one for the PowerPoint party.
Well, Sophia, you've said if you have sound icons, they'll work. So have you had experience of that, Sophia? Does that work for you? If anyone knows the answers to this, please join in.
Does work. I did an audio file with my year 7s today, and so long as that I just uploaded from my OneDrive, and that went in, and you could play it directly from OneNote. What I don't know is whether it would work if you had the audio on a PowerPoint.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah, so if you want to do a listening task from ActiveLearn or Caboodle, then you can also just put the link to the listening task in there. It won't embed it, but at least the students can then play it themselves. So you need to go into the task itself, and then there's a sharing option in both those websites. If you don't know where that is, then you can ask me later and I can help you with that. Then just, sorry, I'm already running over again. Everything takes its time. So about images. So most of you probably already know you can go to insert pictures, and then you get different options. So you can do the online pictures, which will just show you Creative Commons ones, which means that the range is a bit limited. So if you want more different pictures, you will then have to just open up a website and copy it over from there. But a really good tip is if you've got a mobile device, it makes it much easier to add textbook pages or worksheet pages if you have the actual paper copy of it. So I would always recommend using the camera that's within OneNote, or if you don't have OneNote on your phone, then I would download Office Lens, which is a free app you can get for your phone. And what the advantage is, let me see if I've got an example here. Somewhere I had an example. Was not here in print. Was it print, wasn't it? No, my print sheet has disappeared. But so let's say you've got a physical book in front of you and you want a task from there. Then if you use the camera, I mean, I haven't got it on here because this is on a computer, but on my iPad, it would have a little photo camera next to audio, and it then cuts out the worksheet nicely. It straightens it up. It improves the contrast and so on. So it will just be a much better picture than if you take just a normal picture with your camera. And I would also recommend that for your students. So if you have got students who really like writing on paper, then tell them, okay, write on paper, but then use Office Lens or OneNote on your phone to take a picture of it, because it makes it much easier to read.
Can I just ask about the business about the camera, because certainly that's not on my ribbon. I haven't got a camera.
Only if you're on an iPad.
I'm sorry.
On a phone.
Okay.
So it won't work on a computer. Yeah, but I often work on my iPad, so I've got that. But yeah, as I said, if you haven't got an iPad, then put Office Lens on your phone. So I can just show you Office Lens. It's a really good app. So you just find it in the App Store, and so it looks like this. So you can also get it on Google Store if you have an Android. And here you see an example. So if you take a picture of this pile of pages, it will then create this out of it. So automatically it will cut out that worksheet, straighten it up. Even if the page is a little bit bent, it will kind of try to create straight lines. And yeah, so like here, if you have something taken from an angle, it will create this and kind of, yeah, even change the perspective, so to speak, to make it straight, which is great. So definitely a really good tool. Even if you're not using OneNote, it's quite useful for lots of other things. And it also has Immersive Reader built in, which means it can read out any text. So if you've got students who are really dyslexic, this would be a great app for them, because they can just take a picture of any of their textbooks and it reads it out to them. So yeah, good one to have.
Great.
Okay, where was I left off? I think I'm nearly at the end now. So many things you can do. Audio we had, images we had. Okay, yes, so we've still got a collaboration space. Not sure, do we still want to run that now?
How do you feel?
At the end of my part now.
Well, that was really good, Julia. Thank you very much indeed for that. And I think, you know,
yeah. Sorry, not everything worked, but
oh no, but we need to see that. That's
yes.
What's so good, isn't it? Because we can be thinking that, oh, it doesn't work for me, and that's the whole point of this being.
Yeah, sometimes just
that is the whole. So, and I think definitely that idea about the embedding, that was what we really wanted to get across, was the embedding of things, so that you aren't using up loads and loads of data on these pages. That's the scary thing, is where it just gets so much, and that's where things start going wrong. So. I don't know how people feel about the collaborative space, because Adeline, you were prepared to do that. Do you want to do that now, or would you like to do that on the next session?
I'm happy to do it now. I've probably done it very long to show.
Yes, I mean, is that okay for people? Because I think we've sort of put it off. If people are right, I mean, we're carrying on recording, so basically, if you're happy to do that, Adeline, that would be lovely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Someone's giving a thumbs up. That's good.
Because I know, yes, thumbs up from people.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it won't take very long. It's not complicated at all. So I'll show my screen with my OneNote.
Okay, thanks. Lovely to see you, Annalise.
And no, I want to share this. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, collaboration space. I'm in my personal notebook there, so it doesn't really have the format, but everybody knows now what OneNote looks like. You've got in the collaboration space, basically everybody, the teacher and the pupils, can see it and can edit it. So anything you put in there, the children can see, but they can also tamper with, which is great, but you have to just be aware they can do whatever with it. Unlike the content library, where the teacher can see and edit, the pupils can only see it and take stuff from it, but not change pages or touch it. And then you've got the kids' own notebooks, which only they and you can edit. So in the collaboration space, everybody can edit. So you kind of, the use is great for collective work. This is an example of a crossword from Flippity that I did with some year 5s, I think, where they each, you know, as soon as they found one, they would write the word quite quickly in there. You do have to be aware that pupils can interfere with one another, so you need to sort of make sure that your class is going to behave, I suppose, if you're using collaboration space. But I've not had many problems at all. The way I use it is it can be good for something that you want to show them, but that doesn't really deserve its own page in their notebook. You know, it's not necessarily something you want to keep forever, but you want to show it. I mean, partly I suppose it's because I mostly just use OneNote and almost project through that. I share my screen with my OneNote rather than something else. So an example is this we'd done. It was kind of revision on school subjects. I think that was year 7. And I did a Mentimeter and asked them, you know, what can you remember, school subject? And at the end, I took a picture of all their words, and I just stuck it in the collaboration space, and then we looked at it, and the ones I've highlighted in yellow, we just looked at the spelling and how we could change it and all of that. But they didn't really need that, particularly with all the mistakes in their actual OneNote. So that was quite a good way of using it. If you want them to work together on a document, so I only teach up to year 8 in a prep school, so we don't really get to do lots of literature in French, but you could have a text. So I also teach English, and actually I find I use the collaboration space more in English, but I suspect if I was teaching GCSE or A-level French, I would use it there. So this isn't just an example where I've stuck a text in there, and we were deciding who was going to read what, because we're going to make a video of it, and they could all grab a bit and decide what they wanted, for instance. The other, so the way I think Julia's got the same as well, and Jane uses that as well, is when you, if this will load, there we go. You can give them also, what I have in all my notebooks is I have a template that I use, and if I want them all to see, to have a space to work in, then I've got this template that I use where normally I'd have the full name of the children above the pages, and I ask them a question, and then they can write each on their page. I can see everything that's going on. I ask them to zoom in so that they're not distracted by what's happening around them, and then I have an overview, and then when they finish, they all have an overview. So this was, again, it's an English lesson, but when we were doing war poetry. And the way I can show quickly how, I mean, it's really easy, but just how I set that up. So you just get your blank page, and then I just down here, it should just Googled. I mean, it's very kind of, yeah, I'm almost kind of using pen as sellotape and whatever there, but Googled line paper. You choose a page that you think you like the look of, and then I use the snipping tool, so the Windows Shift S, which is basically my best friend on OneNote, and copy that, and then I go back into my OneNote and paste it in, and then you make it the size you want. And then you can just paste however many you want, and I do the set picture as background. I get rid of the frame that Julia was talking about around it, and then just have as many as you like. Write the children's name over the top. Julia's ones are much more funky. They look like proper notebooks. So yeah, that's what it looks like, and it's quite good. So the other things I've used collaboration space, again, I guess more in English. I don't know. Oh yeah, I decided I could show my English notebook because I've stretched it out so you can't see children's names. There you go. Yeah, so it's only my resources in there. But if you're using breakout room, I've done it. So again, this is English, but I looked at the poem that was with Amanda Gordon's poem from the inauguration of Jill Biden with them, and so I had them in 4 different rooms, and so it's the same page each time in room 1, room 2, etc. They went off in their rooms and they were working on just one document together. So you can see here the initials of the children as they were working through, and I could be in the main room and then flicking through the four rooms virtually on Notebook and see what they were doing, and then either go in if they weren't doing anything, or comment on it if I wanted to, and things like that. So that works quite well. I've done that with a few different things. So this was, again, I think we were in class last term. We're doing Warhorse, and this is all the owners that Joey has, and they each, as a group, were working collaboratively. I've used it as well. I can't really show you because that's got names, but to if they've done something and they're really happy with it, or if they're all doing some writing and then they want to share it with the class, I say, well, I'll create a folder and then go into the shed. So go and stick a copy of your thing in the shed, in the in the collaboration space, and then the others can go and see it. But you could do that with a Padlet or a Wakelet, I suppose, or something like that. But it works quite well in the collaboration space. So that's about it. Shall I quickly show my shared notebook, or do I have questions on?
Yes, there was a question there which is interesting. A lovely idea about them all working on something in their breakout rooms, and you can see real time what they're doing.
Yeah.
The question for Sabine is, do you find that there's a problem with syncing?
A little bit, actually. When I went back into it, you do get the message at the top that says conflict. I think if you've got too many on one thing, you do end up with conflict appearing. But from what I looked, so I did go and delete the extra pages earlier so I could show this. From what I could see, the conflicts were on pages that had less information. So I don't think there was anything lost in there. Yes, I think it can get a little bit glitchy in that sense. Yeah.
And Julia's comment, yes, which goes right back to our point right at the start of these workshops, that it depends on the students' devices. So if they're at home and their devices perhaps are not the same, I suppose it's different perhaps in school where you're on the same network, where you know you've got a speedy network. But
yeah, definitely.
It's got to go up to the cloud, down again.
Yeah. I mean, it might be more glitchy for each other, but the children themselves have never really complained that it was glitchy for them. I do usually, it's at the end of a session, you go back in and it does say there are some conflicts, but while it's happening, the children don't seem to notice that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think it's quite important, or it works better if you have specified spaces for them, because even if the writing doesn't show up straight away, at least then they don't write on top of each other if it's a bit slow.
Yeah, this was only really, there were 3 or 4 of them in each room, so they were able to collaborate pretty well. I wouldn't do that with a big class and, you know, all on one page. I think it does get messy then. Yeah, which is why I really like the idea of the little page that they zoom into. You can have it, there's always a silly one who will go and scribble all over someone else's page, I'm afraid, but it's, you know, it's usually not too bad.
And Florence asks, can you have subsections in the collaboration space? I mean, the collaboration space isn't a section, it's a section group of its own.
Group, isn't it? So you can have, so all of it, so that's my collaboration space in my English notebook there at the top, and I've got all these sections in it. I don't know if I can put in another section.
Is that what you meant, Florence? So that you have actually got different sections with it, or were you wanting another layer?
I was just thinking more like sixth form, for instance, and if you do a book with them literature, and let's say you put the title of the book and in the collaboration space, so you'd have like, I don't know, do Noémoi, and then I could have chapter 1 and have something there, and then chapter 2 something there. So subsection of subsections, maybe. I don't know. Not pages, because then
reason why it would work differently from the rest of the OneNote, I would say. I think you can have as many subsets.
I suspect it's the same. Yeah, I don't think there's any difference. And you can definitely you can make the pages, pages in there.
I'm just wondering though, I liked your idea, Adeline, that collaborative space is pretty much, am I right, for temporary things? I mean, there may be mistakes or whatever. Presumably once you've got something you want them to actually refer to, you would then put it in
I I think important stuff would be for me in the content library and in their own notebook. I really use it as, I mean, I do tend to leave stuff in there, but it's not something we refer back to really.
Because I've used the, like the SharePoint to make them work together in breakout rooms, where they all are working on maybe a theme in a chapter and a character in a chapter. But then what I've ended up doing is editing their work so there's no typos or anything like that, and then I put it in the Teams. But I'm thinking if they could do that as well in the OneNote, so they can have still reference there as well.
But once you've almost finalized it and corrected it, would you then perhaps want to put it into the content library so that they've got access to a version that's not going to be tampered with? Because
Possibly,
in the collaborative space, anyone could go in and just destroy the work they've done. Not that sixth formers would want to do
that. I don't think they would, but what I would
but
do.
perhaps if there's the idea, this is our working space, and once we've decided on it, then that becomes the document. Some great ideas there. Really, really good. Thank you very much indeed. And then I wonder whether, yes, the bit about collaborating with your department, because Jane's going to be talking about that as well in the next session. Should we have the two of you doing that in the next session, Adeline?
Yeah, sure. I need to get out of some parents meeting thingy if I can. But yes, it's probably quite late now, so let's
That
leave
would
it.
be great, because I just feel that's been excellent.
Good, could I just share a quick tip in relation to the snipping tool? Is that all right? So the snipping tool, the updated version of the snipping tool, which works in Windows 10, is Snip and Sketch. And I've got it. If I share my screen, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And if I hang on, you should be able to see here. That's the Snip and Sketch icon. So I've just launched it. To find it, you just do a search for Snip and Sketch. There it is, and then you just right-click it, and you just oh no, that's not right. Hang on. It's called Snip and Sketch.
On a Windows computer, you can do it with a shortcut as well.
But anyway, you have it on your taskbar like that, and then if you click on the three dots here, and you click Settings, it says use the print screen button to open screen snipping. So you click on that and you say yes, and then you enable. Print screen shortcut. You enable that. You flip that to on, and that means when you press the print screen button on your keyboard, the screen goes sort of grey, and then the cursor appears there, and then you can just drag select whichever image or whatever it is that you want to take a snip of, and it just does it automatically. So instead of having the keyboard shortcut, you can just tap the one button. So it's a game changer, Helen. I use it all the time.
But even if you don't have that setting, you can just do well. I think you're on a Mac, aren't you? But if you're
I'm on a PC.
Okay.
This is in Windows 10. So let me see if I can show you now.
If you use Control, you can do Control Windows key and S as well. And then
it's the same. It's the same. What I'm saying is this is like the one key.
Only one key.
So can you see now? I don't know if you can see this. I'm showing my screen.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, and that's now saved that to the clipboard, and I can then just paste it in.
Yeah, that's quite good.
Which is it just means instead of two keys, it's just one key. And then the other thing is the Windows Windows V is it brings up the clipboard, which is the extended clipboard. And I was trying to work out a way of adding the extended clipboard to the taskbar, but I don't think it's possible. But anyway, I thought I'd just mention that because I found it's really, really, really useful.
I mean, I mostly, so with all the embedding things, I mostly use the snipping tool to, unless I'm embedding a video or if it's any, I'll have a Word doc and I want just a bit of it or a picture or anything, I just snip it in into OneNote.
And I use something, I don't know whether it costs money. I don't know if it's any better. Snag it. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, same sort of thing. But with the snipping tool, Adeline, presumably you have to launch the snipping tool. Is that right? And then you
I just do, well, now I'll try that. I just do Windows Shift S and exactly what you just had happens.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. and then Control V into my page.
Okay, but the Snip and Sketch just gives you a few more options. You can like
Well,
add
then you can
arrows.
open it. Yeah, it appears in your notifications on the bottom right, and then it opens into the Snip and Sketch if you want.
Okay.
But I literally just I bypass that. I just
Okay.
snip.
I
I
think
just really like being able to press the print screen button and then
Yeah,
you
no, that's
just
quite
and
good.
it just comes
I'll have
up
to
and
go.
that's it. So it just saves time. That's what I find. But yeah.
I think we need a battle of the screen capture. Right, we'll have
Can
in the one corner we have Snagit. In the
Well,
other
you
corner,
know.
we have Snip and Tool.
whichever people like, but I'm a big fan of the Snipping Tool, but the Snip and Sketch keyboard shortcut now is
Yeah.
I don't think I'll go back. Once I've had that, I'm not going to go back to the Snipping
I
Tool.
won't go back. Oh, you are just like an advert, aren't you? You know that with
Here's my contribution to the fight. If you then install a free app on your computer called Photo, what it was called Photo Scan, I think, it can then do OCR on your screenshot.
No, yeah, we covered that, didn't we? We
which
covered
is
that.
great.
Rebecca
Oh,
covered
that's
that.
not
You
new.
can take
We've
all
done
the
that.
So if you take a
And I said I
export.
said you can do the same thing in Google Keep with the grab image text, and then Jimena, who was watching on
Microsoft.
Twitter, was saying, "OMG, that's changed my life," which was really hilarious. I thought.
Google is not allowed to be mentioned in this webinar.
Oh, sorry, the G word. Sorry.
Been expelled.
I honestly feel that nobody ever needs to feel embarrassed about telling us the simplest of things, because there are things which you think everybody knows and people don't, and I just think it's really good that people feel that we just do that, because
Yeah, like this thing on Twitter where people say, I was today years old when I found out. That's
Well, on that point, I mean, obviously, I could save it to the PowerPoint party, but I think it was. No, I think I shared this with you. I saw it from someone else. But did you know if you got the PowerPoint with the .pptx on the end, if you change that to zip file, it creates I've not actually tried this, but this is what it said on. Anyway, it creates a folder with all the assets that are in that PowerPoint in the folder. So if there's a video clip in that PowerPoint, it will then save each asset as a separate file within that zip file. Which is definitely worth trying out.
We're going to have wonderful party games, aren't we, at this PowerPoint party? That is definitely the word for it, isn't it? PowerPoint party. Forget about fest. This is a party.
Yeah.
Doesn't PPP stand for something else, though? Isn't it something a bit sinister about losing your job? I don't know. But...
Well, you got PPT and then PPTX. So PPTX is the new version of PowerPoint, whereas PPT would be the 2003 to 2010, is it? Or 2003? Anyway, the older version of PowerPoint.
And that's a game we'll have as well. Who knows their acronyms, or whatever they're called?
So you can make a Kahoot.
Who's the saddest person of
Absolutely. Yeah, but I think but on the question I was saying about the extended clipboard, does anyone know if you have, like, to bring up the extended clipboard, it's Windows V, but is there a way of is there like a shortcut you could have it on your taskbar, so you click on that and it brings up the extended clipboard? Or do you have to use the keyboard shortcut? Does anyone know if there's a workaround for any keyboard shortcut combination of turning that into one icon you can click on and it does it for you?
You don't want to press two keys at the same time.
Well, no, it's not that. It's just I forget what the combination is, and I have to like Google it, and then it's I've wasted at least 30 seconds or something. Whereas if I just can click on the task, basically, Helen, I like pinning things to my taskbar. What can I say? It just makes it easier.
You want another icon.
Another icon, yeah. I like my tabs. I like my icons. I like my desktop to be nice and busy. Yeah.
That's great. No, we must find out. I love that icon that Victoria's using. I didn't even know that existed as an icon.
Well, there we are.
In fact, we haven't been using all of these nice little extra filters that we can have.
Yeah, the non-verbal
I was forgetting
communication.
about the filters that I could have had. Where's my favourite one? I like the one which had sort of floating things on it. This is my favourite one.
Oh, yeah. How do you do that?
So you go to your filters.
On another freebie. I think this is on the Teams Facebook group. Have you seen Zoom It?
No.
So you have, Katie, yeah. So ZOOMIT. It's a Microsoft tool, and then I went on and watched Kevin, what's his name, talking about you know what I'm talking about, yeah. Kevin, who does all these Microsoft videos, talking about it for like 18 minutes, and basically it allows you to like zoom in and zoom out of a PowerPoint or anything on your screen, and you can also like annotate, you can add text, so it's pretty cool. But that would be a good one to do in a PowerPoint party, I think.
Well, you're invited.
Thank you.
We're all
What's the
invited.
date? Can you remind me of the date of the PowerPoint party?
We said on Monday, it's half term, so it's for the real diehards. This.
So Monday the 15th, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I am
it'll be
available.
The ones who don't care. We don't care what people say about us, because I just thought when
Oh,
I
no, I've got the 6th.
advertised it,
Hang on, is it the 16th or is it the 15th?
Oh,
It's
I'm not very good
15th.
at this. 15th, I thought it was the Monday.
Right, I've got something on the okay. I've got 8 p.m. TiLT Microsoft Clinic, Microsoft Workshop. Okay, so I'll move it to the 15th. That's fine.
Is that right? 15th, and then possibly something on the Thursday, the 18th as well. Oh yes, I think we'll have nearly exhausted everything, won't we?
Absolutely. Cool.
Oh, I'm recording us still.
Look very happily. Very